Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of video games. We are here every Monday on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. This week I am joined by the free time Dimp Digital gaming quiz champion. It's Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
Dawn, I'm feeling good.
Oh,
I'm alright. I've got nothing going on in my life.
right.
I need a hook, something to grab me by the bollards, and I long for that. I had a week of something that's grabbed me, which we will talk about.
Yeah.
But you know, like when a new game comes out,
Yeah.
something like, I don't know, like God of War maybe, or A Last of Us, and that's all you think about like all week.
Yeah.
That I haven't had that since, I don't know, maybe Ghost of Tsushima, I think.
Blimey.
Yeah, that like this. It's like a thing I'm chasing, like a high. It's like a drug.
I understand that. I don't think I've really had that either.
I suppose Monster Hunter has.
Yeah, that has been close on a couple of
But-
occasions for sure, but yeah, in terms of like a... And Ghost of Tsushima probably wasn't even quite that for me. It's probably The Last of Us that really, like...
Really, and it's like suckered you in, like everyone was playing it and you were talking about it, and it was just like the talk of the town, and that's all you focused on. I long for that.
Yeah.
We ain't had it for a while.
No. And looking at this year, to be honest, probably won't get it for a while.
Ratchet, will that be the game?
No. It ain't going to be. I'm sorry to disappoint people. It's just not going to be the one. I'm sure there's people that will love it, but you know, it'll be good, but I don't think it's going to be the groundbreaker that people are hoping for. And then it'll just get shit on because it's not the groundbreaker, when it's probably a perfectly good game and actually enjoyable for most people. Before we get into things, obviously patreon.com/idle game chat, that's the place to go to financially chuck change our way if you want to, and if you don't want to, fine, won't be answering any of your questions. That's not true, we will, because anyone interacting with us will jump all over, so it don't matter if you pay. We'll pay you, maybe we'll set up a scheme and we'll pay people to watch and react, sort of pretend like it's bigger than it is. Quick update from last week. So those that were listening were treated to a healthy and informative discussion about climate change just in the opening few moments. Adcock was wondering exactly. He was saying, look, we're giving people too many chances to deny this. He's all on board to save the planet. He loves the planet. He's travelled it, wants to keep it going, but he was saying there's things that have been happening that give people too much to cling on to get these deniers in place. And one thing he did mention was around the ozone layer, which he remembers from, he was probably a young adult when that was all kicking off. We were wee nippers.
Back in 1975.
That's it, yes. So that's all gone quiet. Well, McWomble from Pixel Pints did drop us a comment, and basically it comes down to chlorofluorocarbons were making holes in the ozone layer. And because, you know, people were going, right, this ozone layer will burn a fucking hole in it. Companies took out, these are known as CFCs, they took out these CFCs, which were damaging the ozone layer, and the ozone layer grew back. So, there you go. That puts to bed that little mystery for the deniers.
Dimp's information fact of the day.
Well, I mean, I didn't check that myself. He could be talking bollocks, but he's a trustworthy individual when it comes to things like that, so we'll take his word for it for sure. So that clears up that, so no need to worry about the ozone layer. The ozone layer is basically like a liver You can beat the fuck out of it, and it will repair itself. So I wouldn't be bothering looking after it, to be honest, because
Well.
this liver's not getting looked after, is it?
Greta was a good one this week.
Did try
What's
and
she
get
got?
Greta on. Apparently she's busy, tied up with other things. People, setting up next demonstrations and whatnot. I wasn't interested. So, if people don't want to come on the Oprah Winfrey version of sort of the gaming and climate change stuff, they can miss out that spotlight. It's no skin off our nose. So, Greta's people who I spoke to, fuck you. Right, video games. That's what we play. It's a hobby of ours. It's what this podcast is about. It's basically what all Dimp Digital talks about, within reason. A couple of things sometimes. Avengers.
Cool. Back to that.
It should have been a home run, this Avengers, really.
Should have been. The title was there. Anthem was in the bins.
Anthem in the bins. We had the movies, the films, whatever you want to call them, the MCU, all-time high. Endgame comes out and sort of completes this massive, decade-long project, was it?
10 full years.
And
MC, come to a conclusion.
It's never been so popular. It's never been so popular.
No, it's never.
So we get wind that there's a game coming out. That arrives over a year late after the hype sort of died down. You pick it up last year.
Yeah.
Give it a play. Mixed bag, good campaign, but some of the servicey type grinding at the end. Well, not
it was taste. Ironically, it was the end game that was toilet. Very repetitive, lack of imagination. But I remember it suffered from a lot of technical issues.
Yeah.
Running on that PS4 Pro. But yeah, there was a fundamental problem. The loot wasn't great, still isn't, arguably. And yeah, just it lacks the bollards. So yeah, I went through it. I played the campaign. I quite enjoyed the campaign, bar its technical problems. But then that was, when did that come out? Like, it was early in the year, wasn't it? March, sometime April maybe. Completed the campaign, done a fair bit of end game, but like I say, just got bored. Was starting to get. I think I got one character to max level, and then sort of tried a bit of the end game and it just sort of filled away and left for the gutters for over 6 months, I'd say probably. I picked it up, but they've not recently, but within the last couple of months, they dropped some new DLC. They're like adding these characters in. Which is always their long-term goal. So I'd be amazed to see how long this does go for. Like all these games, they tend to come out with this sort of, like Destiny, when that came out, was it like a 10-year plan or something?
Yeah, that's what they said. And so Destiny 2 4 years later, so work that one
out. Yeah. So with this one, I think they haven't given any sort of numbers and years of whatever, but I think that's their goal, is to keep it continuing in and just sort of add these characters and add bits and pieces to the campaign. So we got a new character, like I say, it's probably about 3-4 months ago now, but I've only just picked it up. It's Kate Bishop, who isn't really
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm not 100% sure. I know it's something to do. She's like Hulk. She becomes Hulk. Hawkeye? Yeah, Hawkeye.
Is she Hawkeye's missus?
Well, I don't know if it's his sister or Mrs.
Better not be doing that sort of incest line.
I think it's like, in the story, he's sort of like, he's her protege, so...
He's her protege?
She's his, sorry. So, I don't know, I don't think they're related. I'm not sure, I haven't read a comic for the last, 10, 15 years maybe, but yeah, so she's like the female Hawkeye. Voiced by Ashley Birch, who is of Aloy. That's all I hear when I hear a voice. I just hear Aloy.
Yep.
So Aloy voicing. But yeah, she's quite a cool character.
What's her power? Just a fucking bow and arrow?
Baron, yeah, she's got a sword as well, and she can sort of
Get her in
like
Monster Hunter, cross it over.
teleport. She can teleport. That's her sort of skill. Use arrows and this trusty sword she uses. But you are treated like through for her story, so you get like her section of the campaign that sort of you go through the missions, and it was a nice meaty chunk, to be honest. It took me about 4 hours
Right.
to go through it, and it sort of goes through her little story DSL, which is all free. I must say,
Ask him for
which
permission.
is good. Like this game is pretty good in terms of that. There's cosmetic microtransactions, cool for the skins, but nothing so far for the grind section. Although we are led to believe that there's an update coming this next week, is it 18th? I believe. When's that? Oh no, a couple of weeks away. Yeah, not
10 days away.
next week. And they're going to apparently make it the grind harder because people are getting all these skill points and they don't know what to do with them. So their decision was to go, right, let's make it harder to grind and get less skill points and just focus on that. And that's a real fucking thing. But so I played through that campaign, really good. It sort of sets up the next character, which is going to be Hawkeye.
Right. So Hawkeye, I thought Hawkeye was already in it. That's where I'm getting.
No, yeah,
I'm half reading headlines and then walking away from it.
So yeah, I think he does crop up in the campaign at some point. But yeah, this is again, you'll be playing his perspective, and it sort of sets up this new DLC, which is also coming with this PS5 upgrade. So it'd be interesting. So I sort of been playing through that the last week, getting ready for this new update. Just want to get up to scratch, and then went through that campaign, and since then been sort of trying to get a character to the real max level. There is no sort of there is kind of raids, but they're not like Destiny raids in any sense. They're just like
Should I not?
Nah, they're just like
stressful.
Shit tons of what it's basically like a horde mode. You've got like levels of hive, they call it, and there's like 14 floors of the bastards, and they get progressively harder. So I've been trying to set myself up for that, which is annoying because do you remember like on Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you had like the ending, and then you had to kill those other fucks just to get this like other cutscene at the end, which is like you go through the. I can't remember what
sorry. When you said Odyssey, I thought Mario, and I was like, why is Mario slaughtering people? I mean, there is finally there is a load of post game in Odyssey and most Mario games. Like, there's a chasing fucking Peach around the world again, and obviously getting all the moons is another challenge. But you're talking about Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed does, yeah. You had like the main campaign, and then there was those. I can't remember what they were in that. It was like this cult, wasn't it?
Cult, yeah, they were cult.
You had to take them all out, and then you get a final one. And then they tied like a cutscene after that. It was like, right, is this technically classed as the true ending? Well, the same thing happens in this. So I'm still trying to get that, but it's just repetitive grinding. And the loot hasn't changed. Yeah, it's still the same thing. I remember in the review saying like it's just uninspiring, like there's no visible change. It's pretty much still the same. Cool, I've frozen.
I'm fucking about with the what's name.
Cool.
Trying to keep things together, and I've actually made it worse.
I'm frozen in time. I'm morphed into another dimension like Marvel. Cool, he's gone for good now. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know what's happened. It's broke on mine. I'll continue anyway.
Let me. Well, I know we've done that. Might as well.
Time.
I was fucking.
I don't. On my screen, I'm frozen.
It. If you turn your camera on and off, like on the
screen.
Skype, it should.
What's that? Video. That's Aries. That better?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Time.
I just got to have myself back because I've broke that as well.
Yeah, uninspiring loot and it's just very repetitive. It's like, I remember you saying like it just didn't look like there was much of a variety of enemies, which there ain't. It's just basic small variations of each one, and so just sort of been playing that, really just passing time. It does now, like, now would be the time to play it. Well, probably not now, might as well wait until 10 days, but the technical issues are gone now.
Okay.
Obviously, because of the better hardware you've got.
So playing that on the PS5 has
it runs
upgraded
like
your
a dream.
experience.
It does, but I've got to say the quality is like, you really can notice it. Sometimes when you do these 60 FPS, you're like, oh, it's probably checkerboard and that to the human eye. But it obviously goes down to like 1080, and you can see the blurriness. So it will benefit from an update.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not changed drastically. They haven't done any big overhauls, really. Just added free stuff. We're due Spider-Man, which is why I bought it on the PlayStation at some point this year.
Right.
And I'm led to believe they were going to include like Black Panther. I think they had that all locked and loaded, and then poor old Boseman passed away, and they've gone, right, what are we going to do with that? Yeah. But
tough one to do, isn't it? Because
yeah,
although it's not related to the films, it's so, like, he is so synonymous with Black Panther now, like putting it on the map, that you can't just barrel ahead with a character released and go, yay, Black Panther's out, play your game.
Exactly. But yeah, so it's still a tough one. Like, I see it, I think it's about 20 quid now. I was like, well, maybe at that price I could probably recommend it. And I think that's quite a strong campaign. Like, if it's running technically well, I just don't think that it has the legs for much more than that campaign, to be honest.
Will this grind factor they're introducing cost new people potentially?
It will, but again, only in terms of if they're happy to go into the end game to, because the campaign, I don't think you'll be affected with that, because I think they said it was going to kick in after about level 25. If memory serves, I don't even think you'll reach that by the end of the campaign. So this is with endgame in tow. So someone like Biff or someone, I can imagine he'll play through the campaign and chuck it. Probably won't get through that, to be fair. But someone like yourself who will try and go through some of the end game, maybe try and max level a character or something, that's going to piss you off even more, I think, because they haven't fundamentally changed any of the gameplay loop. I'd say the loot is so uninspiring. It's just, there's no visual change. It's just numbers and that. And some people like that sort of thing, but you got to be really into this. And yeah, it'd be interesting, because obviously, like, Anthem's now been pretty much squashed. Like,
the 2.0's dead, so that's not
dead. So I can't imagine they're going to do any huge big updates to what's currently there. So I think they just let that fizzle out and die.
Yeah.
You've got Outriders coming out, which again in this game of this ilk, Destiny seems to be thriving at the minute, like in terms of these peak gases.
We slag Destiny off a lot, but it don't half hold its audience quite well, considering how long Destiny as a franchise has been around as well. Like, they basically had to kind of not reset it, but tear up a lot of the stuff for Destiny 2 and start over again. Yeah. And then they've gone through the change of being owned by Activision, then Bungie gone independent again. Right. So they've had to do a lot of changes. I mean, Sir Dave's always on it. Hall's got the fucking bug again. I think it's just one of those games that when you just play it, it does feel so good at times to play.
Just the core loop of it, isn't it? That's especially with the thing with these big games. Like, there has to be that addictive loop of gameplay that feels sort of snappy, quick, and hits the bollards. The combat in this does in Avengers, but it struggles to hold people. You need your Destiny Daves that stay with it forever. I can see, but I think this was one of the highest percentage of drop-offs.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so
it should have been a money maker.
It should have been. It's got the bollards, like Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics. You're like, oh, these new latest Tomb Raider games, like, they're great games. Like, they're like lovely looking, and it's the same studio doing this. So you think like when you say it on paper, like an open world sort of peak gas Marvel, which they can just add any character, any story arc to, that should be getting all these comic nerds his willies wet. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's this game. It's such a weird, like, Outriders coming out now. It's such a sort of gamble with these type of games.
Yeah.
Every time one of these comes out, they're always quoted as the Destiny killer. And again, that Destiny always thrives on top of it and just goes, no, next.
Rides out the storm, and then it's there 2 years later. A lot of the other games disappear after 6 months.
So, yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, this update, unless it, like, I haven't read the full details of what this new update will have, but it could do with a Destiny style change up. You know, like if I was to get Destiny, the last time I played, it didn't even have bows in it. So if I was to jump now, it'd be probably a completely different game. Well, not completely, but you know, enough there to feel different. So yeah, I'd like to say, if as the price is lower now, I'd recommend people jumping in for that campaign, but not for not the hardcore grind boys. I think that's not good enough for that.
No. Have you played this Kate Bishop yet?
Yes, yeah. So that's you can play through the campaign. You play as her, and then I've done some sort of grinding to get her up to a set level after.
So she got her own campaign.
Yeah, so she has her own campaign. Yeah, so in the campaign, the main campaign, it's sort of like a story that you go through, and you can pick which characters you want to go through. There are sections where certain characters are only available, and then you sort of once it opens up, then you can pick your character who you want to main, and then, like I say, it goes through story beats that you have to have set characters. Then in game, obviously, you can pick who you want, but there are also I think they're called iconic missions, which are their own little set missions for each character. So it's like a handful of their own missions that you go through, and then it will be challenges that you have to get through. So that's something I didn't finish last time around, so that's what I've been doing as well recently, is getting them ticked off, because there was a little trophy at the end, so I was like, cool, I've got to get that, polish that off. So yeah, sort of been doing that with each character. But yeah, I've spent a good enough time now. Like I say, the campaign was about 4, and I probably stuck another sort of 4 hours with her. So I've had about 8 hours with her. She's quite a cool character. She's quite easy to use. Remember, like, Iron Man was quite a difficult one to use because of sort of flying focus blasts and quite a ranged character. This one she's got like a bow and arrow, so I like that. She's pretty ranged, but yeah, they do all seem to play in their own way. Like, you've got Hulk, obviously, like a tank. A lot of them are very like melee, DPS melee based, but yeah, they do feel different in each their own ways. They have their abilities, and it's an RPG. At the end of the day, you get skills that you can change up their sort of stats and stuff, and tailor them to the way you want to focus on: defense, melee, their abilities, whatever. But yeah, it's a nice. It's certainly for free. Like, I never complain. You're getting a 4-hour campaign. People could have easily just chucked 15 quid on this and gone, yep, pay for that. So it's good that they're doing this sort of thing. It's a strange character to start off with.
Yes, it is.
That seems to be the Marvel sense. Like, even with the films and stuff, like Doctor Strange, it seems more of like a cult character rather than the big heavy hitters that you'd expect to be included. No, it probably comes down to rights and stuff in the films, but surely with like games, it must be like an open license. They can include any fucker, really.
You'd think so. You certainly think so. As part of the next update, it will be like the next gen patch.
Yep.
What sort of bollard grabbing is that, or is it just getting a sniff? Or have you kind of done your 8 hours now and you're like, wow, I ain't going to go back straight away even to test the new what's name?
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, there's not now. I've hit pretty much like a wall now where I'm at the end game. Like, it's the real hard shit. It's going to be difficult to I've downloaded it and give it a try just to see what it's like, see what it's running like, and see what they're adding. Because it does say it's more than just the graphical and performance enhancements. There's stuff they're adding, so I'll have a little sniff. Certainly, I'll go through this Hawkeye DLC story, go through that. But yeah, like I said earlier, I've been wanting something to sort of, grab me at the end of the day. I can't wait to get home and play this. this has been filling a gap for the last week.
Yeah.
It's not got the. I don't know. It's just a gap filler, really.
Gap filler.
Because there's not much else going on a minute. I suppose this is peak hype for it, only just because, and been watching that WandaVision, so the Marvel's back in the fold. So yeah, the hype is real for this, but it's weird because it's like a false hype, just because there's nothing really else going on.
My biggest question is how they're going to get Spider-Man to work in there. And I know Spider-Man's a sore subject for Xbox owners because he ain't fucking coming there. But how on earth, considering how good Miles Morales is and how good the Insomniac Spider-Man games, how on earth can this take on Spider-Man live up to what's the trail that's been set by Insomniac?
Yeah, well, this is like I assume it would have been announced by now, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, they've obviously got a secret deal with Insomniac, and they're just going to include the PS4 version into it, as it's a PS4 exclusive.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to be the case. It's like you say, it's going to be their own set thing, and like you say, I don't know. It's going to have to be a real fan.
There ain't any fucking cities to swing around in, is there?
No.
Barren wastelands, Zelda-like.
You've got barren wastelands that are sort of. It's not open world, but it's like it's set like it's just big open levels. They are. You can travel them a bit. There ain't really much to see, but
no,
you can deviate off the beaten path. But yeah, it's like forest area, so you'll be swinging through that with fucking spider webs going up into the sky. But yeah, so it's going to be. I think the only way they could do it is get Tom Holland in.
Right, save it.
Save it. He's their saving grace. But we've not heard anything of it. They do these sort of like monthly or quarterly war table.
That's it, yeah.
I think they do. I don't think it's been mentioned. I think it's obviously still supposed to be coming with that, but I think they're all set on this Hawkeye thing first, get them two characters. It seems weird to have two, like the first two DLC characters are both Hawkeye.
Yeah.
A male and female version. So we'll see what else they got to come. Maybe they'll start shipping them out quicker, but that's only, so this will be character 8? Is it 8? Yeah, there's 6 and then Kate and thing.
Yeah.
So 2 a year. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll see. But
it's all free. The thing is, like the saving grace, it is all free. So those that have already invested in the game, there's no skin other than time, which, as I keep saying, is a currency you can't get back. So don't waste it too much, otherwise you'll be laying there going, "Fucking hell, what was I chasing that Rathalos round for? Fucking 3 nights trying to kill it."
Been any peak gases on like Gold or PS Plus?
Well,
Destiny wasn't it? Destiny, PS
yeah,
Plus
Destiny's on Game Pass.
and it was a PS Plus.
It may well have been. Sea of Thieves is on Game Pass. Obviously, it's a Microsoft game. I've been playing a bit of that.
Oh yeah.
Probably get some impressions in the coming weeks because I had like 2 good sessions of it. Probably do a few more. But the last session we had was really fun. Like, we didn't even do any quests. It was just sailing around and we found stuff as we were going around. Still a bit ropey, but I'll definitely check back in with everyone as to how that's going. But two solid weeks out of that. But yeah, I mean, to be honest,
I think like with that last thing, there was like reports. Was it this game or was Cyberpunk? I think there's been so many disappointments.
It's been dreadful. Like since November, December, it's been awful.
Yes, isn't it? But I remember there was some statistic like Avengers' player base dropped by like 96% or something like that. I remember seeing. So that's what I'm saying. If they chuck this on PS Plus, which got some new players in. The trouble is because it's all free, there ain't really much they'll gain out of that. No. I suppose a few microtransactions, but that's what this game needs. It needs players. So something like a Game Pass or a PS Plus might be their way to getting a bigger player base and then getting some more numbers in. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's still that sort of 6-7 out of 10 game. It's not griping, but there's something in there.
We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. And if you go back, probably maybe not when Hawkeye drops, because that's quite a, played as Bishop, who's going to play, I'd imagine, almost exactly the same within reason.
Yeah, it baffles when they've stuck these two together. I get it for the story purposes, but
I didn't even know Bishop was part of it. I thought it was just all I had seen and just like glancing, reading like a few stories here and there was that Hawkeye was coming. I'd never heard of this Kate Bishop, but I'm not a
yeah, I can't remember
Marvel.
when she dropped. No, like I say, she's she's not been in any of the films or anything. She's obviously been in the character. I've got a feeling she's quite a relatively new character, like
Yeah.
probably created in the last sort of 10 years or 15 years or whatever, I believe. I don't think she's like a golden age character.
Want to get
But
some old diversity in there, didn't they? Stanley
well, this is-
criticised.
yeah, I think you got Scarlet. Oh, what's her name? Black Widow. That's it.
Yeah.
So, and then it's a meat fest in there. So, so yeah, I guess
Perfect for some.
Yeah. So release it International Women's Day tomorrow. So
Well, today, as this
is it
goes
today?
out.
Yeah, today. Up the women.
Hopefully, see if Colin Moriarty sends out a tweet.
It really ruined.
Patreon shuts down his podcast. They won't shut that down. It's making them a shitload of money.
That's very true.
He'll get away with loads. If I said to you, there's a new Nintendo console coming, codenamed the NX. It's going to be portable and playable on a TV, handheld console hybrid. It's coming out in 2017. What would you have said to this?
I said, is that the Wii U 2.0?
Well,
no.
absolutely.
No, I would have gone core. I haven't had a. I had a Wii. Nana had a Wii.
Nana had a Wii, yeah. We're talking the console, not bodily functions. We're not that sort of podcast, so.
Dirty.
Dirty gets.
I remember hearing this announcement. I was well up for it. I remember I didn't have a 3DS properly. I did get one like a month before the Switch, but
yeah.
The last handheld I had was the PSP. I got it free with a phone contract, and on there I used to play Pro Evo. I used to play Metro every time I took a turd. So I used to sit on the toilet and I'd play a game of Pro Evo. I even had SmackDown versus Raw.
Yeah.
2014 or 13, something like that. And I quite enjoyed like just on the fly being able to. So when they announced that Switch, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be awesome." Even though I don't commute and I never have time to play at work or anything, so the sort of the portability aspect of the Switch is slightly redundant to me. I still use it in my house a little bit, but I'd say it's now changed. I'm now probably as high as about 90% docked and 10% portable. But yeah, if I'd have heard this announcement now and there's no such thing as the Switch, my first thought would be, why is it not like a streaming thing?
Wow.
And I said, cool, the age of can't wait to see this bad boy. And then we find out it's 720p.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Well, the reason we bring up the Switch is a couple of things. One, we've passed in between episodes the 4-year anniversary of the Switch, March the 3rd, 2017. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild Wii U port, technically launching with that title, and it's been, for business wise, Nintendo have made a fucking fortune off this, and it's still tracking and still selling and still going mad. So they've definitely hit a winner here. The Wii U was a disaster, and this outsold the Wii U within its first year. So it was clearly much better, and we're seeing Nintendo recognising that actually there's some good games on the Wii U that no one's played because they've been porting over, like New 3DS World. Obviously Bowser's Fury was added to that, but we're seeing a lot of Wii U ports where games were just sort of lost there. So that's one reason why we bring up this Switch, just to get a bit of chat about exactly how we're feeling about it. And then there are, through rumour and innuendo, other bits of details that are starting to leak out, which could all be bollocks, but we'll chat about those as well. But first of all, 4 years in, how are you feeling about the Switch? Because has it been a roller coaster? Has it been a high? Has it been a low? More highs than lows, more lows than highs. Where are we sitting with Nintendo's offering to us and the gaming gods.
The gaming goddens. So I think you've hit it now on the head there. It's been a roller coaster 4 years. Like me and you, our hype was real sky high for both of us. Like this is the first console, I think, for both of us, wasn't it? Day one,
Midnight, I went and got this
midnight. I remember me and you
with
both.
Nana.
With
Nah,
Nana, we had
Nana.
preview podcasts. They're still lurking somewhere on this YouTube web. Day one impressions. We both took the day off. I remember that first year getting those games.
Yeah.
I remember you bought like snipper clips. Was going through that,
Still
playing
haven't
it.
finished that.
Still not.
Nah.
Oh wow! I think I bought Fast RMX. It was like one of the first games. Then Mario Kart came out and Splatoon.
Yeah.
And that first year was just like, oh, this is amazing. Like,
Odyssey.
Odyssey, yeah. It was just hit after hit. It was like, yeah, it was impressive. There was like rumours of these new games coming. Then they announced Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3, and you're like, oh, this is going to be the best console ever.
Yeah.
Then the second year hit, and it's sort of the fast hitters obviously didn't come as quick. You're starting to get drip fed a few games. I can't remember what came in 2018.
Did we get Smash that year?
It Smash that year at the end. Yeah, it was right near the end, didn't it? Because I remember it didn't make the Game Awards that year.
Yes,
yeah.
true.
I think
Missed
Smash
it.
that was the big game that year. There was a couple of obviously Wii U ports that we got in. Astral Chain was 2019, wasn't it?
I forgot about Astral Chain.
Yeah. But yeah, certainly I think 17 it just sort of hit the ground running. There was like when you think of like the Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Mario in 1 year.
Yeah.
Absolute bollard it is. And then the plethora of like it was like this new indie platform to play on. Like the PC was pretty much my indie game go-to.
Yes.
Still is kind of, but I started to sort of attach the games to the Switch. I sort of thought, oh, these sort of 2D games, like stuff like Shovel Knight and games of that ilk, I don't know what else is there.
I bought Dead Cells on there. Bought Hollow Knight. I still haven't played all these games. Bought Hollow Knight on there.
No.
Sonic Mania. Like
That's it.
Hotline Miami, ironically, which I finished this weekend, came out on there. So it was like becoming a destination, at least for me, for those type of games. It didn't require the usual sort of horsepower that a AAA big production jobby would require.
No. But yeah, so that's the second year, and it was starting to die down. Like say, we had that big Smash game, which sort of led the hype. 2019, I think it started off with Astral Chain, which was quite a good game. Like it was a Switch exclusive. There was, I think, maybe there was Link's
Awakening. We got new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, a port again. Mario Maker 2.
Mario Maker 2, that was it. Yeah. So there was a couple, but they're very sparse.
Yes.
And
Fire Emblem.
It just seemed to be like there's this one here, and then it'll be sort of quiet. I suppose.
Pokemon,
yeah. Oh,
but that was a bit of a disappointment for me.
Yeah.
I didn't even play it, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Ironically, what they announced last week with the Breath of the Pokemon, well, that's kind of what I was expecting, but Sword and Shield wasn't that.
And then 2020, you got Animal Crossing, which again, then we're back on and up. We're sitting there playing our Switches day in and day out. That suckered us in for months. Probably a couple of months. We were on that every day, fucking turnip buying and it done. And then there was a lull again, and that's sort of been the
Pikmin
story
3.
Yeah, Pikmin 3. The story of this Switch is you get this big heavy hitter come out every couple of probably like 3, 4, 5 months maybe. But in between then, it's just radio static for me. And I guess for yourself as well. So it's been a real roller coaster. We've had some good games, but there's a lot of months have gone by where that thing just hasn't been turned on. It's just sat there because there's nothing pulling me to it. Like the ports and stuff, they've ported some great games like Witcher 3, impressive. But
Doom.
Doom, yeah, how like they've got that sort of game running on Switch, it's incredible. But because of the cutbacks they have to make to get these Switch games on, it's just such a turn off for me when I've
Yeah.
got
If it's your
every.
only console or only gaming
Yeah,
system, great, because you can play those games that historically you definitely wouldn't have done, or you'd have got like a. I remember they did like Wii versions of certain games that were quite compromised. That was a Call of Duty that was just like
oh yeah,
not very good at all. Trying to do that
Resident
GIF.
Evil 4. Is that
Yes.
the
Yeah. No,
Doom?
actually,
That's supposed to be really good. That one,
yeah,
had like the waggle stick.
that's it. Them wagglers. But if you probably if you're listening to this podcast, it's very likely that if you've got a Switch, you have something else to play
Yeah.
games on. Um, and at that point, the third party stuff, whilst nice, or can play Skyrim,
Yeah.
is not actually in practical usage. It's not really a use case there for anyone who's got something else, because you're just playing probably the worst version of it
Yeah.
in most, if not all cases. Unless, I mean, your PC, it doesn't matter. Your potato will run those games better than the Switch version will. And it's a, I mean, how old's that thing now? I don't mean to slag it off, but
And that's right. 2013, I think.
yeah, we're talking fucking PS4 and
Yeah.
Xbox One jobby. So it's good to have it, but again, anyone who's kind of using gaming as a hobby and has something else, it's of no use.
No.
So it has
No,
been a roller
that's
coaster.
so it has. Yeah. Yeah. There's been some high highs and some low lows. Like yeah. And the thing that like, I love a big change, like just in terms of like the dashboard and so there's not really been any
Done nothing.
change.
They've done nothing.
Like even the Deep 3DS, you could change the backgrounds and you could
Yeah.
download these. Like that's like I don't get why they're not doing that. Like they could sell them. Like that's an easy money making. People will buy backgrounds. They buy avatars.
Yeah.
And they've just not done anything to that really. They've not added Netflix to it, which is another thing. I think you can get Hulu in America, but that's it. They sort of like they're doing something right, because like you say, it's selling like fucking hotcakes.
Yeah. It's certainly, yeah. I kind of, they front loaded it massively with those two, with Zelda and Mario Odyssey. We're wondering when Zelda 2's coming, Breath of the Wild 2, I should say, because
Yep.
after that direct, they literally said, "We have no news."
The best
Bizarre.
troll ever.
Obviously, getting a is it Skyward Sword we're getting remade?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
HD. Whilst we're all getting 4K upgrades, we're getting the HD version of Skyward Sword. How lucky are we?
A full 720p.
Full motion controls into the Joy-Cons as well, just if you want to play it like that. But yeah, I don't know what the answer is really to this Switch, because mine's been sitting there now probably since August. I don't think I've turned it on.
It's starting to become Albert's console now. That's what's happened. Like we've been playing Animal Crossing today because they've just released a Mario crossover where you can download skins.
That's
But
it.
I'd sort of jumped on, got this skin. You buy Nook Miles and buy these skins, and then I was like, oh, wicked up. Oh, it's just the same Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
It's like right, even that's died a death now. Come on, like a big update is needed to grab the bollards and go, look, you should be playing your Switch. It's got these great games on there. You need to be playing it. But like, yeah, I haven't picked it up and played it myself properly, other than the odd sort of jump on every now and again, and I just nothing's grabbing me. So
Well, let's take a little look forward. This is only Wikipedia, but these are Nintendo published games. So there'll be third parties mixed in with this that may be missed. But do any of these get you sniffing and then either grab or tickle bollards? New Pokemon Snap.
not a chance. No. No. Like I bought Pokemon this year. I've played it for 3 hours. Tickled no bollards.
No.
I will go back to it, but I'm in the TikTok generation now. So if I'm not entertained within 5 minutes, it's dead.
It's gone, yeah.
It's good. It didn't grab me bollards.
Well, new Pokemon Snap might only be 5 minutes long. You know.
Well, this is the thing. Like Pokemon Go, that grabbed me by the bollards, and we were playing it for weeks on end. This, like, it looks pretty and stuff, but I can't see how it's gonna be entertaining? Like it's taking pictures of Pokemon at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How can that last? If it's 10 hours of that, is that going to stand the test of time? If you're
Probably
paying
not.
50, what? That probably was about 40, is it? 40 pound for taking pictures of Pokemon. Like I get that. Like, I think you need to be a hardcore fan of Pokemon to really get the enjoyment out of this. I'm not sure you or me.
If it's not those red and blue Pokemon as well,
Yeah.
I ain't interested either. So if it's got other crap in there, on your fucking bleak. Famicom Detective Club, there's 2 of those.
Looked interesting, yes. These sort of off the cuff games are what do interest me. Like the thing with that is like it's not unless it comes out and it's like 10 out of 10, and I think
Yeah.
right, but
Unlikely to get a sniff, is it? Metopia, I don't even know what Metopia is. So
that looks. I think is it like it was like a game that was included with the Wii U or something, was it not? Oh no, it's Nintendo Land or something, wasn't it? Nintendo Land. Yeah, it looks like that type of game. Nah, not for me,
it's
thanks.
like a life sim, isn't it? Almost. I mean,
Yeah.
I fucking hate those Mii's. So anything
Yeah.
that's a game based around that on your fucking bike. DC Superhero Girls Teen Power.
Come on now, this is sign me up. No, not a fucking chance. This looks terrible.
Mario Golf Super Rush.
There we go.
6 months in, you've got to wait for that. June 25th. Unless if it don't get delayed.
Yeah, that's true. See, this is the thing. But what's the Mario Golf games good for? Multiplayer.
Yeah.
Get your friends round. You fucking June. We're still in lockdown.
Yeah.
Well, might be by the end of the month, but can't have no bastard round to play my golf game with me.
No,
So
to play online on that app, that beautiful
That's
voice app.
Oh, exactly. So, yeah, again, like I probably will get this, maybe day one. Don't know, maybe. But this is one of the ones that did stand out for me. But it is a Mario sports game, so how long will it last?
We don't know. We never know. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, which does have button mapping for
Button
those
mapping.
that are still asking.
We'll get
that.
it. I got it on Wii. Played 2 hours and was like,
Did you get Link's Awakening?
yes, I still have it. I still got it. I've not played it yet.
Okay.
I've only bought it a month ago.
Right.
I bought that and Pokemon.
Yeah.
And Xenoblade as well. And I was like, yeah, I'll play them one day. Don't know why. I just wanted to spend money, so just bought them free. But yeah, I haven't touched them. So yeah, what was it? What was the game?
Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword. So yeah, that'll be a day one, but it's so much like people say it's like the worst one. It'd be interesting to play because I never really did give it a good chance, and I think a lot of it was down to I was having that fucking. It was all motion control, so I hate. It's like someone telling you what to do. You're like,
Yeah.
what? So like, no, let me play it like the way I want to play it. So at least I'll have the choice this time. So yeah, that probably is another day one purchase.
Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And if so, which one?
Wow.
Gotta be Diamond, isn't it?
Well, I was thinking I normally go with the first one. It's like Sword and Shield. I went with Sword. Pikachu and Eevee. I went Pikachu. So whoever's
Can't
first,
go Eevee though. Eevee's a slag,
exactly.
as far as I'm concerned. Like, what is Eevee doing? It's Pikachu or nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Salmon been living about that. He bought Eevee. He always goes against the grain.
Backwards cunt.
But yeah, so yeah, I think that does look good. I never played that 'cause it was a 3DS game. Looks quite fun. Like I think you mentioned it. You say they should do a proper remake of yellow, green, blue, orange, pink, yellow.
Get those originals done.
Get them originals in the same vein. 2D up-res. This is it could be. I'll probably be sick of Pokemon by then.
That's the trouble. But that's it for the year. So there's not a great deal there again. It's
ones that it's like the two that I'll probably buy Pokemon, not Pokemon, sorry, Zelda and Mario Golf. But the only reason I'm buying them is because that's all we're getting this year. Like if I had like a top 10 hype list for the year, they probably wouldn't even break into that top.
So I mean, we will revisit the hype list, and I bet we can count on one hand the amount of Nintendo games that are in that top 20
Yeah.
So they're struggling at the moment, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It has been up and down, really. Come out the gates, as I said, very, very strong. But as time's gone on, I've become more and more disenfranchised with the games. And there's stuff that I would sort of, like Luigi's Mansion. Why am I not playing that? But
Yeah.
I just can't be fucked to sit down and play. I've got it. It's sitting there.
Oh, have you? Yeah, I'm about 15 hours in, so I'm fairly way through. It is good, but
How's
again,
that 15
it's,
hours long? That's concerning.
yeah, exactly. It's
Hoovering
puzzles.
up fucking ghosts.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
It's
more than
liquid
that.
hard puzzles that can't be broken. No, it's not
Oh,
that hard. It's quite an easy play, but it's not. Again, it's there's something with these games that aren't grabbing. I need a
no.
grabber. I need this bollard. Just yank them as hard as you can.
Get yanking at them.
Get
Well,
yanking.
they ain't going to do it. Would a. What should we call it? Would a refresh or a new Switch model tickle and or grab said bollards? The rumours
Well,
we're hearing could all be bollocks. This is rumour and innuendo
yeah.
only at this stage.
See, this is what I feel like I said. I love a big change, like a dashboard update, new features added. I love that shit. I love that when they announce that at E3 and big updates. They go, "Core, this is going to be the biggest update we've done. This is what this needs." I think. Yeah. The trouble is, it's selling so well. They're probably sitting their feet up, going, "We ain't got to do shit," and
No,
they're
they
still
haven't.
fuckers are still buy it. So why should we make ourselves hard work when we can just sit back and go, ah? Um, but yeah, I think this is what it needs. I think it needs a revision. I think the further we get from the more years that go past, the more the sort of technical side of the Switch is just diminishing. Like when you think of it now, like the phone's just better than the Switch. It's ridiculous.
Well, when we saw Pokemon Legends, they showed a bit of gameplay of that.
Mm.
Fucking looked like sub 30 frames.
Yeah,
That's like, I like it's
dust,
early, but
dusty old anti-aliasing going everywhere.
I
Yeah,
was
it does.
like, come on. And even Breath of the Wild,
Yeah,
that was fucking, that was chugged in those forests. If
yeah,
Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be
absolute chug.
an extended expansion, if it's going to be an upgrade, you'd expect the visuals to take a bit of a beating. Is that going to run like dog shit?
This is the thing, yeah. So I think that this could be the spark that lights the fire back up. A new reiteration. Get this 4K that's rumoured. Like, that's the new norm now.
It ain't going
That's
to be
what people
4K though, is it?
know. Well, the rumours are it's going to be a 1080p OLED screen, Samsung OLED screen on your digital,
I've heard
on your
720p.
portable. Oh, was it 720p? And then
Well, again, it's all bollocks.
and then a 4K dock is what I've heard. So that docking station. So you go from crisp 4K, then you need a poo. You go right, I'll take it upstairs, and you're going downgrade straight off the bat, back down to 30 FPS.
Well, that only happens, doesn't it, with Bowser's Fury? Like, if you dock it,
Yes.
it's a higher frame rate, and if it's undocked,
Yeah.
it runs at slug.
Goes cool. I can't be dealing with that. So yeah, that's going to be a stinker. The trouble is when they released the 3DS, they released a new 3DS. Trouble is what they done then was they started making new 3DS exclusive
Bit of
games.
fear, yeah.
So being like, are they going to go that route, or are they going to do like, will they just patch like Breath of the Wild and go, cool, we've got this new 4K 60 version, or will they do remastered version? Go right, here's another 40
Oh.
quid.
Oh,
50 quid. I think I paid about 57 for that.
definitive edition. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, it probably will.
So-
See?
What do you think it will be? And then what do you want it to be? Or are they the same thing?
What I like the idea, like, yeah, this I think it was last week. This annoys me because all these games media go Bloomberg are reporting. It's not, well, it is Bloomberg, but it's that fucking what's his name, isn't it? Jason Schreier. He's gone, yep, and they go, oh, it's Bloomberg now, this big news outlet of the world.
Yeah.
Reporting it. That's what, if he didn't work there, they wouldn't talk about it. So it's him. But he claims that he's heard whispers of this this OLED 7-inch OLED screen on the portable,
Yeah.
and then this 4K dock. Um, I like the idea of like the 4K for these games. I think they will look nice in 4K. Things like Smash, Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, like some parts of that game, even though it's like cartoon graphics, I think it's still pretty. It looks a pretty game. They will benefit from the 4K, but I think with this dock situation, like we just mentioned, I think the downgrade to going into portable will be too significant that you'll be going, oh. So in my head, I think they have to make like a 4K portable console, which then then you're talking about a big. It's probably going to be the price of a PS5. You're talking 450.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, the thing was, what was it, 350? Was it when it came out? Ish?
Yeah. No, 279.
Was it? Was it
Yeah,
actually
it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, 279 on
79?
release. UK
So
pounds.
could they go 350, 400 if it was full 4K? I don't know how much they cost, but battery. That's another thing. We've still got the OG switches. They
Yeah.
last about 3 hours on Breath of the Wild. On
Yeah, don't last
I say
long.
max settings. That means brightness up.
Yeah.
And Wi-Fi. So you're getting about 3 hours. They have revised. There is a revision model now that you get about 6 hours out of it. So that's another thing they're going to have to live out. But yeah, I think I'll buy it. Whatever. I think.
Yeah.
I think I will buy it because I like new tech and stuff, and like I say, I do think it needs this new spark to get us back in. So I'll be interested in doing it. But yeah, what my head wants is a full 4K dock and portable, but I don't think that happened. I think this rumor is what will happen. Like this whole year, this Switch Pro has been rumored, and now there's these leaks that are coming, and it's going to get announced this week. It was supposed to be announced in that thing, they reckon. And E3, the rumors are now that it's going to be a holiday release.
Right.
So Christmas. So I can see them maybe announcing it at E3 this year, and then we'll start to get more details in sort of September, and then a November/December. Probably a late November release, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I don't think. I think what it'll be. I think the
So
screen.
what would you prefer, or do you just want? Would you be happy to stay
No.
1440p, Jobby?
No. I'm not overly married to the idea of. I don't think it. I don't think it's possible to do a full 4K. I just don't see how it's possible for that dock to suddenly give it bollards enough to do it. So I think there's going to be some trickery going on. Either it can support 4K media,
Right.
it'll be called a 4K dock, but it'll be able to just basically mean you could, in theory, put a 4K video on it via a USB, or I don't know if you can plug a fucking USB into the Switch dock. I don't think you can, but
Isn't AMD doing something currently with the next gen consoles where they're like trying to create this new technology like that? I think is it DLS?
yeah. So Nvidia do
That's
the
it.
Switch. I think it's going to be this. If there is going to be some sort of resolution boost, like significant, it'll be DLSS,
Right. So it's
where
like
it's kind of running at a lower resolution, but then upscaled artificially and looks pretty good. So all the digital foundry boys seem to be big fans of that.
Yeah.
Gives you a nice picture, and you takes a bit of a less of a beating on your PC. So I think it'll be something like
something like
that.
that.
Oh, to be honest, the main thing concerns me about the Switch is not necessarily the resolution. It's the performance. It's them
Yeah.
frames. Because
Everything 30, that this new Monster Hunter that we're weeks away from
yeah,
itself is now a hardcore fan of the franchise. Won't be purchasing Rise because
no,
you will be left in the dust with a 30 frames per 30 frames per second.
if we're
Yes,
lucky.
frame right, if you're lucky, exactly. Yeah, you imagine these 6 monsters coming on screen at once.
That's
Cool.
what I want to see. I'd rather see I'd rather see a push to the frames on
Yeah.
something like this, because the Nintendo games look nice. They have their own style and whatnot, but they're not like, usually they're not photorealistic. I don't think they necessarily benefit directly from a resolution bump, but the
So
performance side of things just needs to be stabilized on some of the more taxing games. And
would you take like that, like an Xbox Series S style, where you've got like a 1440p
yeah,
focus, but like
abs-
I was watching the DF video on Outriders, and they're saying like that's 60, but it's sort of like they're targeting a 1440p.
yeah, I think, yeah,
I think
I'll
that's
prefer that.
since this next gen come out. Like I remember the PS Pro um, section of our lives. I remember thinking like 4K, the frame the resolution, sorry, is more important for these games. Things like Uncharted, I can play that at 30 frames per second and it's fine to me as long as it's stable. I want to see this shit in 4K. But since then, since this PS5 and the Xbox Series X has come out,
Yeah,
that 60 is it's once you go there, it's so hard to go back,
yeah,
and that's now become like my default now. Like even like games that I'm playing, like Avengers, God of War, these got these lower resolution modes but higher frame rates. That I'm just always opting for that now because that is the way forward. Like,
mm.
yeah, it's really a change of dynamic, and it would be good to see Nintendo go for that, but I don't think that's their market.
No.
I don't think they don't seem to go for what the gamer wants. They go for what Nintendo wants.
Yeah, I think ultimately it won't make waves. It won't be a big watershed moment change in terms of like performance and upgrades. I think it'll be quite mild. I think when we see it, you might go, right, why should I bother getting one?
Yeah,
But I just want anything at this stage.
yeah.
I'll take
It's-
just a mild upgrade. I'll get rid of this one and get the new one and try and breathe some new life into it. But I'm not convinced we're going to get
Nintendo
a. I'm not
Mobile.
convinced we're going to get like a. Yeah, I'm not
Cloud.
convinced we're going to get a PS4 Pro version of the Switch, or even certainly not an Xbox One X version of it. I think it'll be a bit more mild than that.
Right. It's probably
Um,
4 years in. What typical was like what 6, 7 years is a cycle.
I think. Well, I was reading that they were saying that it's about they're saying the Switch is about halfway through its life cycle, is what they've projected. So
So
could
eight
be,
years. I suppose if it's selling like it is, why the fuck
yeah,
would they bring out something else that could bomb?
absolutely no need.
So just let this go like they're talking. This is like set to overtake stuff like,
Yeah,
or
but
you perhaps
yeah,
another 360.
I will. We'll see. I'm not optimistic that it'll be a massive change because I just don't think Nintendo will do that. But I would like that. But to be honest, anything will probably tickle me enough to go out and get rid of this and start
Is
over.
there anything on that you want on that console other than games and graphics?
Not
Party
really.
system? Would you? I suppose they have their own version of like an Xbox Live and PS Plus,
Yeah.
but
I
would you
don't think
like?
there's. Yeah, I don't think there's really. It's always going to be a secondary console, so
Yeah,
you'll just take whatever comes along on it. I'm not really. I don't have many expectations nowadays.
mm.
Um, the new Pokemon Legends that
Yeah, that
that
does.
is kind of what I've wanted for a long time.
Yeah,
If it is how I think it is at the moment. If it's not, which is quite easily could be just a sack of shit, then that'll be flushed. But other than that, I'll try not to have any expectations of Nintendo stuff because they just don't they just don't make any sense half the time.
uh,
Um,
it is weird. Some of the stuff like the Labo stuff. Like who's calling for that?
that Mario Kart home circuit, what we doing?
What's that? Ring Fit.
Cardboard VR.
It's bizarre, but it sells. And
It does sell, so have to keep the lights on, I guess. Before we close down, you weren't there last week to give the impressions on Outriders. I know we kind of went through it last week, but I thought just to cap things off, your brief
overview.
impressions of Outriders, the demo that we both played. Did you go back to it this week, or was it a one and done? And how's it looking for April the 1st? I think the release date
Well,
is.
yeah, it's coming up quite quick, isn't it?
Hmm.
No, I didn't go back. I felt like our little journey was done. I thought I played what it offered, which is quite a lot, really. Like I think we looked at our stats and we were both around the sort of
Over
five,
5 hours,
yeah,
yeah.
over five, knocking 6 hours out, which is pretty impressive for a demo. Um, yeah, it's a game of meh.
Hmm.
Like, I guess I would say the word disappointing because I was probably expecting to be more wowed. Like, as I said with Avengers, you've got other games in this genre. It's a weird genre to want to do,
Right.
uh, because of how hit and miss the games are that come out. Avengers,
Yes.
Anthem, Destiny, they've all struggled in their own rights. Some have fruitioned and that. So it's a weird one. They've gone right. Yeah, let's do a game like that and really show them how it's done. So that's what I was expecting. I was like, right, they're going to come out the game. This is going to be so different to all the others, and that's what I was looking for. So when I played through it, I was expecting to be wowed and expecting to see something that hadn't been done before,
Yeah.
and there wasn't anything there that I know we say it all the time, but grabbed the bollards. Nothing did. Like, it was quite responsive, snappy gameplay. Bits of it didn't work. The cover system, I think you mentioned, that didn't feel wholeheartedly.
It couldn't be trusted.
Couldn't be trusted. No, the
Hate it
shooting.
when cover can't be trusted.
You could tell it was from the Gears of War developers. It had that sort of that mechanic of cover, even though it didn't work very well. It's a lot more fast paced and like I say, snappier than the clunk of Gears of War.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like the overall setting of the game and sort of look of the game, it starts off and you're like, "Cool, Avatar,
Yeah.
glorious." This sort of luscious world, greens, multicolored forests and stuff, and then the story progresses and you get put into this barren brown wasteland of slog.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where your disappointment starts. And we went through it, played everything it had to offer, and it was just a little bit sort of all right. It's another one in this setting. The only thing that sort of I was quite impressed with was how story narrative driven it was. Like that does interest me. I like games that don't typically have that sort of thing. I know like Destiny's started to get more of that sort of going into. I didn't play any of the Cade. What was his name? Cade, was it? Cade?
Yeah.
They like character building there, and there was a bit of an actual story. This seems like it's probably one of the more story focused of those games.
Yeah.
So that does interest me. Would it be a story that does knock it out of the park? I don't know, but I like that they're going down that route. But yeah, in terms of its actual gameplay, the loot was certainly more interesting than Avengers. At least you actually changed the look of your character.
He did so indeed.
Work crossplay, big thumbs up. It worked pretty flawless for us. There was some weird latency issues, which
So on my screen, it looked like you were lagging, but you were fine on your screen.
Yeah.
So no harm, no foul.
No, but that's a weird thing. Looked and ran pretty well. I've got to say, like at one point, I thought I was running over 60. Looking at the DF video, it must have been 60. I don't think it goes higher than that, but
No.
was pretty flawless for what I thought. Was pretty impressed with that. But yeah, just like I say, I wanted to be wowed and was left a bit. Maybe I expect too much these days. You know, if I ain't getting 9s and 10s handed to me, it gets noses snubbed at it. But
Yeah.
it's certainly one I watch. Apparently, there's been a patch to the demo. I don't know what that's done. Saw some people go, "Who's patching a demo?"
Yeah.
So maybe there might be another jump on, but no, I felt like we got a good like taste of what's to come, and it's not a day one purchase for me, but it's one I'll track and keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And see
If the price is right.
The price is right. That's the thing. Like I suppose it all depends on how much content you're getting. You know, if you're playing this it's the type of game where you're going to sink 50, 60, up, possibly even 100 hours into type of games. What's that grind like though? What's getting at here? How long's this campaign?
Do we have to keep replaying these side quests? Is that a necessity, or do we just do that because we wanted to? Like,
rewards given either.
Yeah, there's certainly some unanswered questions, but I appreciated the demo because it takes a lot to give that much of it away to start with, and basically people like us that might have been tempted, probably not now.
Yeah.
But later on down the line, perhaps it could take the play. It felt, more like a Division type game.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Um,
yeah. It did remind me. It had like the Division slash. It was like Gears of War hybrid type thing.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it was an interesting concept, but like I say, it baffles me how like these games, like these game companies, that this is their. Like, I know it takes more than a couple of weeks. Like I suppose they've probably been working on this for what, 3 years maybe.
yeah.
Uh, so it just baffles me that they're sort of like, right, I suppose they can't fucking ditch it halfway through after they watch Anthem fail and Avengers sort of come out to 6 out of 10 reviews and stuff. So I suppose they're like, cool.
Yeah.
But I certainly, if I was a game director, I wouldn't want to be doing one of these games in this current market.
No,
But
definitely not. It's because
who
these
knows?
games obviously were planned years ago.
Yeah.
It feels like at some point, whenever these ideas were all signed off and come up with, that it must have been at a time when they were like looking at the landscape, thinking, "Christ, this is the way everything's going."
Yeah.
And now,
Started
not
it. 'Cause you had like Borderlands, which was like the looter shooter. It's like that, but then it's like a hybrid of that because of this sort of ongoing games as a service. So it's just like a constant update. So I don't know what was the first one. Was Destiny? Was there something big before that?
probably
But
was.
it's just a weird genre that, yeah, it's an odd one. But I'll be amazed if this comes out to like amazing reviews.
Oh
Like
yeah, no,
if
it's
if
got
come out-
like sevens,
yeah, so
sevens
I'm
to eights.
expecting a 72, 73, that sort of mark of a game. In there, but I don't know. I could be surprised. I don't know. Square Enix again. Is it
Yeah,
Square? Yeah, it
yeah.
is, isn't it? And then
They're
people
at
can
it
fly.
again.
People
But
can fly.
people can. Well, will they fly? That's the big question. Well,
Yeah.
that'll do it for another week.
Yeah.
Another one in the can. Still got stuff that we could have spoke about that we've run out of time for. Well, not run out of time, but we'll save when we've got a bit more time. Don't want to run these podcasts too long. Anything, get them shorter, like 20 minutes done, and then it's less time for us. But try and stick close to an hour. But there's a few other impressions. I've just finished Iceborne, Hotline Miami. Return of the Obra Dinn. There's still stuff I've got in the back burner to talk about, so we've got other bits and pieces. Adkins is always picking up strange games now and again, and other people are playing stuff. Game of the Year from 2020 is all done and dusted. We've deliberated. We've got our list of nominations and a winner, so that will have its
Destiny 2.
yes, that'll have its own its
DLC.
expansion. That'll have its own podcast in the very near future. But yeah, for this week's episode, if you got to the end, thanks for joining us. If you've watched on YouTube, or if you're listening on your favourite podcast app, or if you're just listening on YouTube and not watching, you're a mad backwards cunt. Thanks for your time, and ta-da.